Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Arcane Design Abyss V2. This is probably my favorite knife from Arcane Design. I'm a big fan of Arcane Design. Number one, the look, the Arcane Design look is it's become kind of iconic. Like we all know, once you see it once, you can identify each and every one of his knives. It's very, very easily identifiable, which is rare in today's knife world. Usually everything kind of blends together. An Arcane Design, you see one and you go, I know exactly who made that. And that's cool. I think that's a mark of a very creative designer. Because, like it feels like there should be only so many shapes within the perimeter of knife designing and making, right? Because you still have to, especially when you're going for something that you want people to actually use. If it's not intended to be used, then, go crazy. Poikalo Alchem, for example. But this, no, it's intended to be used. It's nice that he's able to apply that. This is not only, I think, my favorite aesthetic, but it's also a huge upgrade from the last version. We now have the full satin DLC. You have the option to do both the blade and the frame. You can also change the pivot collar, which right here is the only color accent on the knife. You have a choice between blue, purple, or red, which I think is nice. That's a cool touch there. You can also get it in standard, just like a satin blade, or you can get it with the PVD frame. There's not really a big difference in terms of what he charges. I think there's only a $20 difference between the least expensive version and the most expensive version. But really cool, lots of great options, lots of great looks, and we're now sporting Magna Cut at 62 to 63 HRC, which is really great. I have no issue with that at all. Very awesome stuff. And this round, the knife is being manufactured by Riot, and it absolutely shows. Thanks so much to Arcane Design for sending this in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. Make sure your notifications are on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. We'll go ahead and do specs. I don't have the first Abyss here to compare to, so I'm not sure how much has changed, but I'll go ahead and run specs and tell you guys what I think. Overall length is, it really feels like a full-size, like 8-inch knife. This is actually 7 3/4 inches. Blade length is about 3.4. No, that's wrong. It's 3.5. Cutting edge is 3.35. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Any custom skills you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others. Up against the 8010 and my own Excalibur. It is not as big as these knives, but it also is definitely not a dainty knife. It's still, fairly close to the same. It's not, it's 3/4 of an inch shorter, but it doesn't feel like a small knife is what I'm saying. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. This knife actually has quite a bit more cutting edge. Not quite a bit. It's got more cutting edge than PM2 despite being shorter. But realistically, we are looking at very nearly the same amount, like where your hand is actually going to engage with the handle. It's actually about the same, minus the forward choil, but it swaps it out for more cutting edge there, so it comes into preference. It's a little bigger than the Para 3. And then let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How is the action on this knife? It is running on bearings. This is a Riot-made knife, and it feels really good. This has that Riot heavy detent. You saw it when it went into place, like a magnet pulling that thing down. Whoa, it's nice. Riot really has those heavy, clicky detents. But because we have a properly angled flipper tab, it just really feels spectacular to flip. And you can also use these little thumb things to deploy it. I don't like those nearly as much. I think it actually works better to reverse flick it just because of the angle. The front one I don't like to use as much, but it's okay. I prefer to just use the flipper tab. Really, really nice flipping action. Very, very smooth. It has that smoothness that initially feels a little bit tight, but you can see here it really isn't taking much. But there's no friction or lumpiness or bumpiness. This is going to break in so ridiculously butter smooth. I could say, like somebody carrying and flipping this knife for like a month or two, my God, the action on this thing would just be pure magic. It really is an awesome, like the action on it is truly spectacular. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's a little bit thicker, not much. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This is a pretty easy knife to carry. Not a big, bulky knife. It is full titanium, but it doesn't feel overly large or thick or bulky. Pretty easy to get in and out of the pocket. Let's go ahead and weigh it. What are we looking at for materials? I think the pivot collar is aluminum. Everything else on this knife is titanium. And then we have a Magna Cut blade. This is DLC, both on the frame and the blade. You need to be careful when you're choosing. If you really want DLC, you have to pick the one that says DLC blade and DLC frame, because there is an option for a DLC blade and a PVD frame, which I'm not sure why you would choose, because it's like $10 less. Like, go with DLC. Like, if you're confused, PVD's great. It actually describes more of a process than a coating itself. Technically, DLC is usually applied via the PVD process, but the PVD coating, whatever it is fine. DLC is superior in every way, so I would just go with DLC. And if you don't want a coating, then opt for one that doesn't have the coating. There is a little bit of milling for weight reduction here. Your actual weight, which we need to change the units here. High fours. Low fours. 4.2 ounces. Not bad at all. Balance on this knife is like right behind the pivot. Really good. Really, really good. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock. Blade stock thickness on this guy, probably 150 to 155. Yep, 156 thousandths there. And then let's go ahead and do a hardware check. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. So your pivot is a T8. Your lock bar insert screws a T8. The screw that holds in these little thumb thingies, that is also a T8. We have no hardware whatsoever on this side, which is pretty cool. Probably, honestly, I kind of wish that he'd have done the opposite. Put the screws over here. You have a hidden screw for the pocket clip, which is fine, and only two screws, two big long screws for the frame. Super easy to take apart. Like, even with the screws being on that side, like, yeah, it'd look cooler on the other side, but gosh, the thing is going to be easy to maintain. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Meat and potatoes. His Necronaut. That was the first knife that I ever handled years ago. That's what set the stage, you know, for that iconic look. It's what burned it into my brain. And I love that knife. It's really cool. It was really cool then, and it's still cool now. This is a straighter... It's got more classic knife profile in it. It still has that look, like something from the future, something that maybe Master Chief would carry. But it has a more practical handle profile, and it's got a more practical blade profile. It's still got a really badass blade, though. We have compound, tanto, hollow, and very thin up front. Let you guys take a look at that plunge grind there. And then it comes out into a flat grind, right? So maintaining this edge, because it is two separate edges, is going to be a little more tricky than maintaining one edge, but it's fully possible. Flat looks good, nice swedge, very aggressive. It's really like it's like a Bowie compound tanto, or clip point compound tanto, whatever you want to call it. Really cool. Frame, pretty straightforward. We have these cool, like very like future geometric bevels and things like that. I think my brain wants to see one more area that has color, and I think maybe the back spacer could have been that, or some small inlay in here. But then again, I feel like, well, maybe if I saw it, it would ruin it, and then I would go, well, I'm dumb for suggesting that. I don't know. The whole thing looks great the way that it is. I like this little area up here. I think that's neat. Just did this little cutout where you can kind of see through it. Overall, it's just a really, really good aesthetic that has, you know, if you were to see the profile of this knife like drawn on a piece of paper and not the knife itself, you'd go, yeah, I've seen a million knives like that. And then if it was like, you know, and this popped into place, you'd be like, whoa, that's pretty, that's not at all, like, this looks way cooler than what I was picturing in my head, right? So it's nice that he was able to do that. Simple backspacer, no lanyard hole, pretty simple pocket clip, hidden screw, so that's nice. In and out of the pocket, really easy, kind of medium tension, medium heavy tension, not a problem at all. I think, as is the case with all frame locks, that this knife would have benefited from being a sub frame lock or nested liner lock. I think that in the future, he should look at that and consider doing sub frame locks. Many people in my comments have been vocal about this, some more than others, but I do generally agree. A titanium frame lock is fine, and it has functioned for a very, very long time. Sub frame locks or frame lock, like if it has to be a frame lock that is mostly or entirely covered is just better. Why? Because you can't push on it when you don't want to, like when you're trying to deploy the blade, and also squeezing it does not affect your lockup percentage. Those are irritating things and potentially, things that can cause problems. Not that I think that that's going to happen here. Riot does a really, really good frame lock, but a covered system would be better. That, in a lot of people would say a completely different lock. The frame lock's not going away, and it shouldn't. The frame lock should never go away. I think it's fine. I think there are just ways to make it better. And we have had the ability to do that for a very long time, and I think it should just be implemented, Sub frame lock. That's the way to go. Really good. But this is fine. Pretty high tension on that frame lock, too, and the geometry is great. Riot always does. I don't think Riot has ever been known for frame locks that disengage when they shouldn't be. We have about 35 to 40% lock engagement there, so that's good. Absolutely zero blade play up, down, left to right, no lock stick, no pivot lash, very smooth and consistent in here. Absolutely wonderful detent. Just incredibly satisfying, and it is perfectly centered. Base price of this knife is $340. That's for stonewashed and satin. And then your most expensive variation is $360, and you're looking at it. I would opt for the most expensive version because you're getting the full DLC, and I think the look that looks good. It's also a satin DLC, which is the best. Is that fair? This is a Riot-produced knife. When Riot makes a knife, they take a pretty hefty chunk, right? They charge quite a bit. So Riot has to make money because they're not a charity. I don't know why people forget that. And then also the designer of the knife, presumably, is expecting to make money, right? And then you have to take into consideration the costs of creating the knife. So let's break this down. We have two parties that have to be paid. We have a Magna Cut blade that is in the optimal HRC range, expensive blade material, and also heat treating it adds cost to it. In this case, we're talking about the $360 version of the knife. It's DLC. DLC's, it's a fairly expensive coating. It's one of the most expensive coatings you can put on a knife. Definitely. We have premium tolerances. We have titanium. We have a titanium backspacer and pocket clip. This is over $300. And when I say it, if it's over $300, and the more expensive up from there, it needs to bring it. It needs to have some of these extra elements. It's pretty darn good, especially considering the two parties involved that have to, they have to be paid for their work. So do I think it could have been a little bit less? Yeah, maybe a little bit. I don't think it could have been, there's no universe where this could cost less than $300 though. So I think, like at about $325, I would have been like, that's an excellent price tag, but am I mad at it for being $340 to $360? No, this is cool. Arcane design knives have always felt a little more special. And Riot produced knives also generally, while they do have companies creeping up and in some cases matching their quality, Riot has always been top tier. This is a really, really cool knife. Anybody who really likes Arcane design and is familiar with Riot's quality, I think you would really enjoy this. If you're not a fan of this aesthetic, this is the type of knife in his line where if you looked at his Necronaut and you're like, that's just too much. This is the knife that you'll probably be attracted to because it's kind of dialed back, but it's still really cool and unique looking. It's just, I think, a little more functional as an everyday tool. So I like it. I think it's really fun. If you pick this up, I think you will too. That's going to be it today, guys. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.